I think I got a good title for the podcast. 2022 is the year that Harmonic Minor graduated to Melodic Minor. Get out of the past. Change your harmonic. Raise that 6. Get out of Harmonic Minor.
Yeah, bro. Is that a flat 6?
You're a bitch, man. What are you? Yngwie Malmsteen, you bitch? My band hat, Noah band hat.
Yeah.
Which has been cool. And anyway, man, like, tell me about your music. I feel like you actually have a lot of stuff going on, or does it just look that way on Instagram?
Well, I do have a lot going on, like that I've been working on. I haven't actually been putting out any music for since my first album came out in 2017, but I've been working hard on a new album. Like, I'm basically recording every day, and I have been for technically since September. Mm-hmm. I've been actively recording, but it's taken a long time to actually get this album together, and it's definitely like the biggest project that I've ever worked on. So I'm finally nearing the finish line.
Nice. This is for Mantle, right?
Yeah.
What's like the hardest part about it? What's making it such an epic, big project?
Mostly the fact that I decided to start doing vocals midway through, which I think I've told you about on Instagram, like messaging maybe. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but I might have mentioned it. And so that was obviously a big thing, because I came up with the concept for the album and was writing it and was thinking it would be instrumental, like our first album. And then just the way I was writing, or just how the songs were turning out, I just couldn't help but think that they needed vocals. And I think it's always been it's been a dream of mine that I haven't really fully acknowledged until recently, that I actually wanted to do that, because all my guitar metal heroes, I love just guitar players too, but my biggest heroes were always the vocalist guitar players out there.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Winter Sun. And even though the Yari from Winter Sun doesn't actually do guitar live anymore, which I'm a little disappointed about, but
Winter Sun. I don't know Winter Sun. Let me see.
Oh, you got to check out Winter Sun. They're kind of they're not really controversial, but the guy Yari Manpa, the main guy, it's he's definitely a genius, but he's notorious for taking a super long time to make albums.
Yeah, kind of like me. Kind of like myself.
Yeah, at this point, me too. But he put out one album in 2004, and that's
a long time.
Yeah, but he's put out 2 more since then. But that's 2 more in nearly 20 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
Cool. I'll check this out. So you tend to gravitate towards this black metal stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think really I would say my favorite stuff is in the melodic death metal
finish
progressive death metal category. I love Meshuggah. They're one of my favorite bands, and Opeth, that's another guy, Mikhail Ackerfeld from Opeth is another, that's his low growl stuff. I don't know I'm sure you're an Opeth fan.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I can't name you an album, but I've gone through my Opeth phases. But if you recommend it, then I'll certainly go back to it. I always need more music to listen to,
Yeah, I do too. And I've been sort of just like I don't know if it's ever going to actually end, but I've been in a period of just going back to everything that I grew up listening to, and like basically all I'm listening to right now is everything I was listening to in high school, which was
That's cool.
Just a lot of Opeth and this band Insomnium, like melodic death metal, and from Finland.
I'm writing all these down so that way I can check them out later. Insomnium. All these guys have very similar looks.
Yeah.
With the blonde hair and the...
Yeah. Long, straight Nordic hair. Yeah. And yeah, they're one of my favorite bands too.
So is this singing vocals or is this screaming vocals? Harsh vocals?
It's mostly harsh vocals. There's like literally one part on the album that has clean vocals, and I mean the songs are like, they're not 100% death metal. Like some of the songs have some more proggy, like the one that has some clean vocals kind of starts out with, it's like almost like psychedelic rock-ish. So there's a mix of things. There's also one track that's basically a jazz track. But like I'm not really a jazz player. Like I feel like when I try to write jazz stuff, it's not actually like
jazz inspired and jazz are two different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say it's more of a jazz inspired track, but actually I'm a little ashamed to admit I only recently gave the Noah Band EP a good listen, nice. But I loved it. I really loved it. I got to listen like a few more times, but
thanks.
I think, I've definitely never heard that sound that you have before, which is great. Like,
yeah, I appreciate that. It's a lot of work, trying to find something that is unique and that people like and I like.
Yeah.
I just finished the second 4 more songs. I'm going through some mixing revisions right now, and I'm doing some video for it at the end of this month. And
awesome.
Yeah, the decision to do video, I feel like is going to be better in the long term. It might have a better shelf life with some video. But it does kind of stink, like having these masters and thinking, oh man, if I didn't want to do video, I could have released this like kind of soonish.
Yeah, true. But didn't you put out the last EP like last year, right?
Last May. Yeah. So it's already been over.
Yeah. But that's not very long, really. I mean, I feel like you have plenty of time.
Yeah. But they're also EPs. So.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but I have a couple, I'm doing video for this whole EP actually. So it's 4 tracks, and
oh, great.
And I'm approaching the video like one long continuous video. So it's actually like,
oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, it wasn't even my idea. I hit up this guy to do the video, and he thought, why don't we, if you tell me the track order, I can kind of think of a way to do a video for this that's like part playthrough, part music video. And cool. And the way to release music now is different than what I was used to 10 years ago. Like years ago, we just kind of put out albums. You said, okay, here's my album. And and now what I see everyone doing is like single, 3 weeks later, single, 3 weeks, like single later, single.
Yeah.
And you could do that for the entire duration of your album, or you can do like half of the album as singles and the other half just kind of hit it. So I think the way that I'm going to release this is 4 separate singles, and then the last release is going to be just the whole package.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm very intrigued about the video. So are you? Well, I guess my question is there a lot of improvisation on the EP, or is it like
there was? So what I'm having to do is go back and kind of transcribe my solos so I can
right.
mimic them live, which is strange because sometimes I'm not always playing on the grid. So I do something that's like a little bit off the grid, and I kind of have to know, okay, I come in like a hair early here, or I kind of delay this part, which is going to be challenging.
That's hard.
Yeah. So we actually did track everything individually, for two reasons. One is it's very hard for me to get together to do rehearsals, especially with really busy musicians that I've chosen to work with.
Yeah.
So to get together and do, I don't know, enough rehearsing where I could put us all in a studio and confidently record like the music the way that it's supposed to sound perfectly, it would have been a lot of work.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why we actually tracked everything more in like a pop rock style, just kind of whenever we had it, like, this was guitar week, this was drum week, this was bass week. And also at the end of the day, like we just said, my music is not jazz. It's jazz inspired. I think it leans more heavily towards jazz than maybe some of the other like prog metal stuff, but it's still not jazz at the end of the day.
Right.
So the studios that I opted to that I ran this project by were all, they're all used to the single tracking approach, and that's actually their preferred approach. So those are the two reasons why we ended up doing it separately. But when it came time to do guitar solos, it was mostly kind of just sitting there and doing a bunch of takes, after 30 takes, something starts to finally click and come out that I'm like, oh, keep that one. That's the one we're going to keep. So that's the way that worked. And now it's going back and having to transcribe that, which I, like I just said, is challenging.
Yeah, that is tough. But so like when you play this stuff live, have you ever played live with this band before?
No. I'd like to.
Cool. So when you play the stuff live, are you going to be playing your exact solos?
No, that's not. No. I don't want to do that now. But it's funny. Another like thing specific to this genre is that people like to hear the same solos sometimes, though.
Yeah, that is true.
So I'm kind of playing with the idea of, well, I can do both. I'll play the solo and then extend it.
Totally. Yeah.
Or a hint at the solo. I could use like little motifs from the solo, and people can be like, "Oh shit, he played the same lick from the thing." There's a way to balance it where I could find a happy medium where it's still improvisational music and people are still getting the licks and lines that they're familiar with.
Nice, yeah. Because for my album, like there are like 6 or so solos throughout the album that are totally improvised, but like while recording, which I basically just did mostly like right where I'm sitting right now. I mean, that's where I did all my guitar recording, just with my DI box and Axe Effects. I got the Fractal Audio pedal board, but I'm going to be reamping everything. But like it's true, after like 50 takes or 100 takes or whatever, you start to like kind of hone in on a solo, so it's like half improvised sort of. Like but you're still improvising because you don't have anything written out, but you like know what you want to play. So but live I'm also going to be doing what you're saying, like
try to find a middle ground for it.
Yeah, just because also like just for my own sake, it's hard to play something totally different every time, so
it's hard. That's hard for anyone, especially if you're doing 50, you're just looping something. It's hard to and sometimes it just gets worse and worse if you really try to keep on playing different stuff. After a while, you're like, man, my best take was like the first one.
Yeah,
this is just starting to sound like shit. But it's interesting if you ever go see like an improvisational set, like some jazz gig or something, and you stick around for both sets, or if you go like 2 nights back to back, you know, like at the Vanguard, for example, they'll have a guy stick around for the whole week. If you ever do both sets or come back on different days, you'll hear that everyone kind of tends to play the same stuff.
Right.
You know, everyone kind of has their language, you know, things that they're comfortable playing. So at the end of the day, you know, we're all kind of just playing what we've practiced anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
yeah.
There are guys that do really say, like, you know what? No, I'm not going to play the same thing this time. I'm going to play something different. And like, that's the mindset that they like to put themselves in. And other guys are more like, I have these 5 licks that I know I want to play during this solo.
Right.
You know, like at some point in the solo, I don't know when, but like when it feels right, I'm going to plug this lick because I think it's going to sound cool. There are plenty of jazz guitar players that do that. Especially like patterns, like if you have like some kind of 5-note pattern, like 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5, and you know, and you know you've practiced that, and you've practiced it, and you there's definitely guys that have like those patterns, and they know at some point in this solo I'm going to plug that pattern somewhere. Yeah, that exists. It's fine.
Right. For me, it was like, I think in the process of just doing a bunch of takes, you kind of, or at least I like essentially wrote something that like I now feel like I'm almost not improvising when I play that solo, you know, but and I probably will need to force myself like in the future to try to change it up, but yeah, I think improvising in metal is something that just like I know it happens, but I think it needs to happen more. So
whatever. Does it need to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for you. Yeah. Like, who did I see recently? I saw Alluvial West House Band.
Oh, yeah, you saw him play live?
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Oh, cool.
And it was so heavy and so tight. And Wes is so sick. And he's playing the same solos from, you know, the recordings. But for me, in that context, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear that that composed, like, you know, perfectly curated solo in that section.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think, and it's like for me, I think over time it might change. Like doing a lot of improvising on this album, and then maybe next time I'll actually want to like compose more, like, you know, technical like,
parts, lead lines and things.
Yeah, I mean there are like shorter solos on the album that are totally composed, but one thing I've been working on recently is getting the melodic minor scales under my fingers, and
that never goes away. We're always all practicing melodic minor. It feels like that's all any guitar player ever does is like just revisiting melodic minor for the 800th time.
Yeah, I mean, for me it was sort of more of a recent, not like discovery because I knew it existed, but never really had it down. And I realized that I love that sound, and so there's a lot of melodic minor inspired stuff on the album, and like there's one song that has like a 2-minute solo section, which is like definitely by far the longest solo section, and it's just like all melodic minor stuff, and I just think it's like the most metal. I mean, there's harmonic minor obviously, but between those two, like, but if you like just switch between those two, it's like endless possibilities, I feel like.
I think I got a good title for the podcast. It's Melodic Minor is the metal guitarist's new Harmonic Minor, or 2022 is the year that Harmonic Minor graduated to Melodic Minor.
Yeah,
I gotta workshop that a bit.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, we're in the age of guitar players going, oh shit, like Harmonic Minor, it's old news. Everyone's doing the Melodic Minor now. Like,
yeah,
dude, get out of the past. Change your harmonic. Raise that 6. Get out of the Harmonic Minor.
Yeah, bro. Is that a flat 6?
you're a bitch, man. What are you Yngwie Malmsteen, you bitch? Like, God, don't you even know Holdsworth? Like, come on, man. Catch up with, like, we're done with Harmonic Minor. It's all about Melodic Minor now, bro. It's like the popular, popular kids we're walking around like Metal High School, and all the popular kids are like wearing Melodic Minor t-shirts, and all like the nerdy kids are wearing Harmonic Minor t-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. But I've also been working on.
By the way, I'm full of shit. By the way, like obviously it's all. Whatever. If the music is good, the music is good. I'm just joking around.
Oh, of course, yeah. But I've been working on Harmonic Minor, like arpeggios recently. That's like something I've been practicing, and that works over. Right, if you're just playing like the 1, 3, 5, 7, that works over either scale. So that's convenient.
Oh, you mean like just running through modally the different arpeggios?
Yeah, or I guess 4 different arpeggios. Starting on either the 1, 3, 5, or 7.
Oh yeah.
Harmonic Minor. You're not playing the 6, so it works.
It's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've also been revisiting Melodic Minor and Harmonic Minor, but
nice.
And so the last pod we did was with classical guitarist Daniel Keene. Omar and I went to school with him.
Awesome.
Like a long time ago. My first year in community college. Omar's 8th year in community college.
Dude, that was my second.
Omar got his PhD at community college.
I was the Van Wilder of Nassau Community College.
Very nice.
So I was talking to him about like, general music theory class 101. The minor scale is different going up from how it is going down. In classical
right.
music, you have the raised 6th, the raised 7th going up, and the flat 7, flat 6 going
right.
down. And that's a wild overgeneralization in how even like Bach would use it. Bach would scramble it up in all sorts of different ways.
Right.
But I've just been revisiting that idea and thinking, and practicing minor as a sound, and the 6 and 7 getting me to where I need to go, and whether I'm going up or down. And so instead of treating minor as a modal thing, treating it as just really the important pieces of minor are that 1, 3, and 5, and the 6 and 7 are just ornamental, based on like if I land on a 6, that's the way I'm choosing to color that sound in that moment, whether it's sharp or flat, whether it's major 6 or minor 6, or if I'm headed in a certain direction, raising it or lowering it for the sake of the line,
right?
And I just put up an Instagram video. I put up an Instagram video probably a month ago, where I was playing a solo that I tracked to a Never Forthright song that I just got a first mix back on today, and you bet I blasted it in this room and listened.
Nice.
Listen to it. It sounds so good. But
that's awesome. I can't wait to hear that.
It's pretty exciting. And opening line that I play in this Instagram clip is a minor clip that almost by the end of it is almost a chromatic scale, but it still feels very minor at the end of the day. Let me get my guitar real quick, and so the line is so B minor. That's how it starts.
Nice.
And there's a lot going on there that's both harmonic minor and melodic minor, but at the end of the day, it just kind of feels like by the time it resolves, it just kind of feels like a minor chord.
Yeah, I mean, you're just sort of dancing around the triad.
And using those sixes differently based on where I'm headed. So this first part this is also something new I've only recently started doing, is wrapping the major seventh, approaching it from the minor seventh. So that's all. That's all. Standard melodic or harmonic, it doesn't make a difference. So that's like kind of the first.
Right.
So it's using both, but at the end of the day, it's still the major seventh that's priority there. The minor seventh is just kind of helping it get there.
Yeah.
And then this is wrapping the root in a flat 9.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll land on the fourth there. That's a flat 6, and then I use the other sixes, the 6th and the 7th on the way up. And then right away flat it on the way down, and then wrap the 5th.
Yeah, that's nice.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, by the time you get to the end of that lick, and you kind of just look at all the notes and flat 7, major 7, flat 9, natural 9, minor 3rd. I don't think I played a major 3rd in there, but 4, flat 5, 5, flat 6, 6, flat 7, major 7. I played every note except for a major 3rd.
Right. Yeah, that's a nice line.
Thanks.
Yeah. It basically is like chromatic at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah. So that's kind of, this whole melodic minor versus harmonic minor conversation. It's also, I'm also revisiting it as well. Just trying to think about it that way. And it's so funny too, because I remember being in music theory class at Nassau Community College, and I'm pretty sure my high school theory class taught the same thing, that minor is different up than it is on the way down. I thought, this is so lame.
And I heard that too. I mean, I know it's just like an old convention.
This is music theory class. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But it really makes a wonderful sound. And I'm applying that to like metal riffs as well now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like those approach tones, passing tones, enclosures, that's nothing new. But when you apply it to a scale that's different up than it is down, it can be kind of fun. But you could do the same thing with like major as well, like major raise 6 on the way up, flat 6 on the way down. Like I guess some people might call that, harmonic major on the way down technically, but yeah. Have you heard that before? Harmonic major?
Honestly, I don't think I've ever heard about harmonic major.
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind right now.
It's just major with a flat 6, like your standard major scale with the flat 6. But if you step out of the world of modes for a second, just because you play like one note passing by to another note doesn't put you in a new mode. It just means that you played a note it just means you played a note.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I'm rambling. Am I rambling?
No. It's I mean, you really know what you're talking about. Like, I think in terms of theory, like I'm not at like a super high level. Like, I've mainly just wanted to get the melodic minor scale under my fingers because I just really like the general sound of it, and just wanted to be able to stay in it if I wanted to. And so
I mean, I need to practice that too, honestly. Like, just like hanging out in melodic minor and playing different ideas for like 2 minutes, a 2-minute solo in melodic minor. That's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. But just the amount of, I mean, just sitting there, like we were saying, just doing take after take, like you kind of build this. Like for me, it's more like I know I'm going to start, like for this one solo, for example, like I always started on the same note because I thought it sounded right.
Good.
You know? And then from there I would, usually go down, and then I would go up. Like I just kind of had these general like thoughts, like where on the fretboard I would go like throughout the solo, and that helped just kind of structure it.
I've been to like practice like single line playing. I've been writing a lot of etudes, and not writing them down on paper, just kind of like taking a progression, or not even a progression. Like, well, so the one I've been practicing recently is a 2-5-1-3-6-2-5-1. That progression, like it's super common in jazz, but it's often really fast, and it's hard to. You get like 4 eighth notes per chord change to spell out what you're doing. Like literally nice. like 2-5-1-6-2-5-1. That's it's tough to do. So so just recently I've just kind of sat there and just wrote out some lines that felt good to my finger, and just being patient like with it, like where do my fingers want to go, where do my ears want to go, and then after I have like 4 rotations of it, which probably amounts to 20 seconds of actual like material, I'll increase like the tempo, or start thinking about, well, how do I actually want to pick this, or how do like what should be pull-offs, what should be hammer-ons, but and then, getting it to some speed and then never thinking about it again. Like it's a thing that I wrote and played, and I practiced it at a certain speed and I liked it, and now it's time to move on and forget it ever happened.
Yeah.
And I kind of took that idea from there's a saxophone player, Ben Wendell, who is
heard of him.
Yeah, he's got plenty of his own stuff. He's played on like Tigran stuff. He's his band is called Knee-Body.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, they're amazing. I wish they were like bigger than they are, but it's like some of the best music. It's about as good as music gets, honestly, for me. Is Knee-Body. Nice. Let me just note that down because I want to mention that in the notes. So he has a whole like masterclass for sale on his website on how he practices and how he approaches like learning new material. And what he does is he has like his notebook of patterns or melodies or licks, things that he wants to practice, and he sheds them like I think a max of 5 times. So he'll say, okay, today I'm practicing pattern 23 or lick 23. It could be a pattern, it could be a lick, it could be 1 bar, it could be 15 bars. It's like just things that he has said, I like this, and he's jotted it down on a piece of paper and given it an identity of number 23. So pattern 23. And yeah, he'll shed it that day, and then move on to some other thing he wants to practice, like, or maybe he'll transition after 30 minutes to composition, writing or something. The next day comes, he doesn't do the same pattern 2 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll pick, pattern number 24 and practice that one. Day 3 comes, he may revisit 23. He may pick a different pattern, but the idea is that he only practices this pattern 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Never practices the pattern 2 days in a row. And then after he hits that 5 time mark on a pattern, crosses it out and doesn't touch it again. Because, you have to move on at some point. You can't try to make this pattern your identity. You kind of just play, you practice it, and then you move on.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, I've really liked that. And it's something I've, he talks a bit more about, not learning full solos, instead, like in terms of pattern work and vocabulary work, that being like the method. But for me, I actually like learning more extended stuff. I like learning full solos, or at least a full chorus of something. I won't commit to learning a full solo, but if I really like, the second chorus of a guy's solo, I'll like to play that whole chorus.
Very nice.
Yeah. But the idea of practicing something for a week and then saying, okay, well, if it makes it into my playing, great. If it doesn't make it into my playing, whatever. Just you gotta cut the cord at a certain point.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think I don't actually, I don't spend a lot of time actually learning really a lot of other any music at this point. Like
you're in composition mode.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, I literally just finished this week recording my last guitar stuff for the album, so I can finally start. I have more time now to learn stuff and to write new stuff, which is great.
So where are you getting your guitar vocabulary though? Because you play awesome stuff. I mean,
thanks.
And even going back years ago to like the Mayonnaise stuff, contest, you're playing sick stuff back then. So, where's all that coming from?
Well, thanks. I mean, I honestly, I don't know exactly. It's just mostly
in your ear.
But my influences are, mostly metal. Like I in high school, I learned a lot more of other people's music, and like Winter Sun, for example. Like I learned the solo from the song Winter Madness, which is an incredible solo that you should definitely check out. I mean, it's like very neoclassical and stuff. So there's that. But I think it's for me, it's like a lot of scale-based stuff. Like I just kind of.
Do you think you tend to practice more out of the metal guitar players like handbook? You come from more of the metal guitarist handbook?
Yeah, I do for sure. And I mean, I've practiced sweep picking probably more than anything else. And really, like when I practice, I mostly just am like playing pretty much as fast as I can through like a bunch of scales, and just like I think practicing for me is usually like just as much of a technical, like kind of athletic thing.
It has to be for the music that you write.
Yeah, like I usually just try to get my fingers like physically to a point where I know they're like moving well, and then I feel like I've done a good job practicing, and at the same time try to build my knowledge of a scale that I'm working on, or a sweep pattern. And I also end up just playing a bunch of like semi like neoclassical ish, like just doing like a simple, maybe I should get my guitar out just to
to
show you.
Yeah.
I guess I have this acoustic guitar right here, which is probably out of tune. But let's see.
Ooh, a nylon.
It's actually a steel string. It's a gypsy jazz.
Oh, neat. I've always wanted one of those.
mean, just like I do a lot of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, just like this simple alternating thing is like, if I'm kind of rusty, like I find it really hard to just do that for a while at a fast tempo. So I just kind of do this for like minutes on end. You know?
Yeah. And after like probably an hour of that, you're blasting like, right?
Yeah.
So how long does it take you to warm up? So at some point, I would love to get into like a metal practice phase. Right now, I'm not in any phase right now. I'm trying to finish an EP, like in some video. That's the phase I'm in right now. When when that's over, my plans were to go back to like a traditional jazz phase, like back to standards, back to like Charlie Parker vocabulary, learn lots of just real jazz language. Because I've never actually done that. I've always just jumped right to the wackiest, weirdest modern jazz there is and said, okay, great, I play jazz. But I never really learned like the original language. So that
actually surprises me, because I always assumed that you were like a master of like bebop and all that stuff.
I think I'm good enough to kind of convince the metal community, but
yeah, they're easy to convince that you know jazz, because nobody knows jazz.
No one knows jazz. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, if I said, if I told the metal community I was like a master of like, I don't know, Balkan drum rhythms just because I played like one drum rhythm, like people would think, oh shit, Nick does like Balkan drum rhythms. You see that video? He played like one pattern for 10 seconds. He must be a master,
Yeah, exactly.
But no, not really. I obviously went to school for it and I have practiced it a lot, but but my level of like playing traditional jazz guitar compared to other people that really focus on it is not like at the same. It's not where I'd like. It's not where I'd like it. It's not where I'd like it to be. I mean, it's tough. Like trying to find a sound and be better at all this different stuff. And how do you? Does it make sense for me? Like I love heavy music. Could I also put out a jazz album and have it sound authentic? I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're. Like the track that you're on with the Noah band, and I haven't heard the new Ever Forthright stuff, but just like having jazz influence come into the metal music, like, is something that I just think is very unique, and that very few people can do, and even fewer people are actually trying to do. So
I appreciate it. Yeah. I also like, it's me talking about myself, so that's probably the worst person to ask, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I'm just really excited to hear what you're working on, But like, I feel like, I mean, my limited knowledge of jazz, like even just adding anything out of the ordinary into metal or into a genre that like doesn't normally have something is cool. Like you don't have to necessarily be a master of.
Yeah, you don't have to beat it. You also don't have to beat it into the ground. Like you could just kind of hint at it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I agree. I wanted to ask you. So so that's my next venture. Is I want to revisit really traditional jazz. But at some point in my life, I would love to just go down, spend a month, like really practicing, that stuff, like what you're talking about. Like I would love to just get a bunch of Wes Howe solos under my fingers, like the way he bends and picks these sick diminished lines. And
he's fantastic.
Yeah, I would love to get to, but it takes time to commit to. I'm going to spend, and I need a month. I need a block of time to commit to something. I can't just say, oh, today I'm going to practice jazz. Today I'm going to practice metal. I need to really put my mind into a big block, like a month.
Yeah.
And so that's something I've also never done, is really honed in on metal guitar, alternate picking and sweep picking. Like, I remember a bunch of comments from that Mayonnaise video from years ago was, oh my God, his hybrid picking technique. And I was like, what is hybrid picking? What even is that? I don't, and I've always just kind of played the guitar the way I played the guitar. And recently I took some lessons with Jonathan Kreisberg, a jazz guitar player, who is an amazing alternate picker. And he kind of assessed my technique, and he said, you should really consider more alternate picking. So I've, over the past couple months, I've been just, when I pick up the guitar, kind of trying to change it, my technique a little bit. And it's actually helped my sound a lot. Like the some of the solos in the new Ever Forthright stuff, my technique is different. And big time, the Noah band music I just tracked, most of my solos on there, my technique is completely different, way more alternate picking. When I say alternate picking, I'm not talking about I'm playing metal solos now. I'm still playing the same way I've always played, but I'm being way more deliberate in the attack of my notes, and I think it sounds a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I think I've practiced just kind of without thinking about it, probably.
I could tell, because you're really good at it.
Oh, well, thanks. But I think basically after college, my technique has changed a lot, because during college I played a lot, but I majored in economics, and I played in the jazz program at Columbia for a few years, and I somehow was in that, for playing with the jazz bands for 3 years in that program, but I was just scraping by the whole time. I felt I feel like it was great for me as a musician. Definitely I got better at improvising and just more comfortable doing that. And I got to take lessons with, I think I've mentioned this guy to you before, Paul Bolenbach, who you know, I think.
Yeah.
And so he I got lessons from him for a couple years. But basically my point was, after college, having a lot more time to play, I realized that a lot of my foundational things weren't that great about my technique, and I was experimenting a lot with just simple stuff, where to put the guitar, when you're standing up and playing,
that's something I still really struggle with.
Yeah, and also when I was younger, I pretty much always would practice sitting down with a footstool, on my with my left foot on a footstool and my guitar on my left leg, and I think that kind of wasn't a good thing for me.
Interesting. So what is the right thing to do? Because I sit on a couch that's probably too low when I practice, and I kind of alternate, but based on how I feel, every 5 or 7 minutes I might switch to the other leg and do things like that. I almost never practice standing up. What's the solution here?
Well, I don't actually play a lot of acoustics, so I usually have my electric guitar with my strap on even when I'm sitting, and I sort of sit at the front of my chair usually if I'm sitting down, and I basically try to keep it in the same position that it would be in if I were standing up, and I also do play a lot standing up. So for me, I think that is sort of the solution. But if you're playing a guitar like this, then it's hard to, I don't really know exactly. I've never liked playing with the guitar on my right leg. Some people can shred super hard, play anything like that, and I just find
it's weird.
It's too uncomfortable. I need it more in front of me, I feel like. So like just now, I was just like crossing my legs and sort of resting the guitar on my leg, so it's like
so it's more
there.
So it's more in the middle.
Yeah. So I guess like having it in the middle, I like to have it.
Gotcha.
But I mean everyone's different, but I do feel like if it's over here, you're like straining your right shoulder a lot, or at least for me. But some people,
works for them.
So yeah, I'm not going to say that it's wrong to do that or anything, but yeah. But the other thing I was going to say was like with alternate picking, a few things actually. I realized I wasn't using enough of my full arm when I was picking. Like before, I think I would use more wrist. So like I would pretty much play like, and you could still do that. I guess when you start speeding up though, it's hard to like have the same attack. You don't use your arm, and like it gets a lot more fatiguing, I think. So like now I'm using a lot more of the full arm instead of like just the wrist. I'm like trying to incorporate more of my arm, and I think that's helped a lot.
Interesting, because I feel like no one's ever told me, but I kind of always thought that the wrist was the way to go. And I'm not a master of alternate picking by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of like of like the wrist, like the wrist is moving obviously, and this is just me, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But like if you use them kind of both at the same time, then you don't have to actually like move your wrist as much. It's more of like a subtle wrist movement, and then your arm is doing more of the work, I think. So
do you think this is something your body naturally tries to solve on its own? The more you up in tempo, like if you're really patient with the process and you spend a week at 100, and then you're really patient with your muscles, because that's what it boils down to. And then week 2 you're up to 110. You're really patient with your muscles. By the time that you're reaching that barrier where you're starting to break a sweat and your muscles aren't sure how to handle the load anymore, do you think your body naturally tries to solve for it by doing what it needs to do, maybe adding a little bit of elbow or because I do.
I do. I think like most of the things that I've discovered like post college and just like refined, I think have been just like instinctual things that have just come from putting more hours into the guitar and realizing that certain things are making me feel like throwing my body off or just aren't as efficient. And another thing that I've realized like pretty recently is that I pretty much always like to pick with my fingers out like that and like not a closed grip, because I think when I was in high school I pretty much played with like a closed grip all the time. But I realized that your hand is a lot more nimble, especially like for the fast alternate picking stuff, if your fingers are like out like that. But I also realized that for sweep picking, I prefer like a closed hand grip. So like that has been a thing I've been experimenting with a lot. Like when is the right time to use like the closed hand or the like open hand kind of thing. And that, I think that's something that I haven't seen, or no guitar teachers really talk to me that much about, and like I've had to sort of figure that out on my own, but I think it's super important.
Cool. That's very interesting. Again, someday maybe I'll spend a chunk of my practice time really working on this. Just not what I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, I find it very interesting. I mean, in the hand and the forearm it's such a complicated bunch of muscles. Like it would make sense that, if you're contracting your fingers, you're probably putting some muscles and tendons a lot closer to to one another, and whereas if you have your fingers extended, I mean, your most relaxed hand is pretty much this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, as soon as you close some stuff, you're putting things to work. Even extending stuff, you're putting things to work. Like this is pretty much the most relaxed I can get my hand. So it would make sense. Yeah, exactly. It would make sense that if I were to pick, it would probably be a little bit extended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I'm not sure. Yeah. I can't like remember right now how you normally hit.
I don't know. I scramble it up. It's sometimes it's like a little bit tight. Like I might do something like that. Sometimes it's actually even this, just kind of almost like a relaxed fist.
Right.
I change it up. Cool, man. I would love to talk to you about more like, are you full-time in Imperial Triumphant, or is it a part-time gig?
I'm actually not in Imperial Triumphant anymore. Like I have seen some articles that have said like I'm still in the band, because I was at one point, but no, I did, I guess you saw the guest solo that I did recently with my dad.
Yeah.
On their track, which was super. I was so happy that they asked us to do that, because like I did one guest solo on an album of theirs, like on a song called Black Psychedelia, like I think at this point like 4 albums ago.
Yeah.
And they weren't as popular then. I mean, I loved their music, but
yeah, that's right up your alley, that stuff.
It is. And I'm friends, for a long time. I've been friends with the main guy in the band through a family friend in New York. So it's like super random connection. But yeah, then like I actually met him playing in this, or he reached out to me because he needed another guitar player for this pop gig. When I was in college, it was like pop rock stuff. So I played a few gigs with him and this guy, like a few gigs in the city playing that kind of stuff, and then that's how we met. But so yeah, I did 2 tours with them, but it was like really like a total of like 13 shows or something. So like basically
not too much.
Yeah, not like 2 full tours, but yeah. So that was really all I did with them. And then it was right around the time that I released my first album, and I wanted to like put all my energy into that. And like they're a very active band. Like they play a lot and they rehearse a lot. And I just kind of felt like it wasn't sustainable for me to be in the band. And
it's tough. You got to pick and choose, with no hard feelings most of the time. Just like, guys, I feel like I got to be over here now, not over there. It's tough.
Yeah. But that was like my first real tour experience, aside from going on the road with my dad. I did play a few times on stage with him, like for a song or 2. But
there's some of that's on YouTube, right?
Yeah. That's right. So. But that's a lot different than like a metal tour, obviously.
Shoved in a van, metal tour.
Yeah.
But I know exactly. I know the feeling. Man, let's catch up again. I got to go for now, but let's catch up again when your music is out or close to coming out.
Hopefully next year at some point, for sure, it'll be out. But thank you so much for having me on here, and it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, man, we'll do it again. And we live close enough to each other where we could probably actually hang out in person. So, right?
Yeah.
You're spending time in New York still, right?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Right now. Okay, cool.
Everybody's in Brooklyn, yo.
Yeah, everyone's in Brooklyn. What am I doing over here?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I know. We'll definitely hang out soon.
Cool, man. All right, guys. Let's wrap this up. It was good chatting, and I guess we'll catch each other in the future.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Later, man. Peace.
All right. See ya.